on. We're going to get the Italian Grand Prix underway with no Enea Bastianini. The whole shot device seems to have worked really well for Fabio Quartararo on the Yamaha. So we ride on board. They can see Fabio Quartararo just on the side of Pecco Bagnaglia's bike. Miguel Oliveira has made a home Grand Prix on the Ducati.
And Quartararo's doing everything he can. He wants to get past straight away. We know Yamaha's strategy. Get to the front.
Oh, and he thinks about it down Casanova Cervelli for the very first time, but the door firmly slams shut by Pecco Bagnaia. You wonder if the pace of that Yamaha through some of these long corners, that's where he needs to make the difference. Ducati maybe have stranded, and all the fans would be normally into Corantayo. There's Marc Marquez. He's made up a position from his start, from 11th into 10th in 4th, and then it's Jack Miller in 5th, Mir 6th, Binder solid enough start in 7th place. He does have consistent pace. Quartararo.
And I want to see the Yamaha on the straight. Watch Zarco in 3rd place. Look at the power of that Ducati over the jump, but not quite close.
But down to 9th. He's actually just picked up Binder. Down the straight of the crash in the middle is Marc Marquez, who's gone down, and someone else was on the outside of this year.
Yeah, I don't think there's been another crash.
No.
Oh, the lead is down!
Pecco Bagnaia has crashed out of the lead.
Point, Gavin. Rare you see somebody crash there. It's a fast corner.
Now it's down to Jack Miller, isn't it, to take the Ducati challenge. It's a frame. He struggled this weekend as Zarco. Really found going tough on the changes of direction.
Watch this, is much closer now. And
who now leads in the Italian Grand Prix. And this is the problem that Fabio Quartararo has. If Zarco can park that bike in the corner, Quartararo all over the back of Johann Zarco. He knows that if Zarco can have this lap in front.
A new chassis this weekend, all the riders like, oh!
Casanova Cervelli to Fabio Quartararo. The problem is he's trying to get through on that Ducati. So Quartararo back in front from Zarco. Look how close Oliveira is now. Alex, he's hit the front.
And he's pulling away, got a little bit of a lead. It's only a 0.2 of a second. Let's have a look on the next. But no, Zarco's close enough, I'd say. But we knew that was going to be the story of this race. We've talked about it all weekend. It was always...
Is he able to get close to Fabio Quartararo? Is he? He's passed him down towards turn 1. Quartararo will do everything he can to get the bike stopped. The Ducati comes Quartararo again. Oh, up the hill in Poggio Secco. This is a fantastic start to the MotoGP Italian Grand Prix.
Quartararo's got pretty much the whole lap in the lead. And he's got a chance to grow that gap by the time he gets coming out.
There's a Ducati there. He knows exactly what you've said, that he needs to make it count here. There's an incident.
There's so many different gizmos and devices you've got to press and sort out before the start of a race. Riders are looking down. They're trying to lower the front, lower the happened before. So if you touch the curb, look, the front wheel's just on the curb. It's a slightly slippier painted part of the track.
Touching that little bit of curb was enough to upset the bike. And down Bagnaia went, and he'll be in the Premier class.
And look at that lead. He had half a second through the split before the finish lap.
I think the fact he stayed in front, and it was a quarter of a second across the line, or 4/10 actually. You have to think now, Quartararo, this is his race to lose. In terms of tyre longevity, issue anymore. He's had the operation.
Yeah.
Simply before this place. In fact, he was here 2 years ago. And when we last raced
these tyres, so he knows that the tyres will last. It's just about him trying to be precise now.
So Suzuki's labouring to get all help, but Jack Miller, they were both tucked in behind actually on the previous lap, but Jack and his Ducati just absolutely blocked. It's at 3/4 of a second, 0.763. Quartararo is pulling away, and Bagnaia knows that he should have been the...
He might know, obviously he was sat on the motorcycle, that he touched the curbs. Unforced error, a mistake. He doesn't make a lot of...
So far this year, has finished every race in the top 6, as Rins fires back at his teammate Joan Mir. Nice little battle to challenge for the podium positions. Still a long way to go in this race.
18 laps. It'd be interesting to see. I'd like to see that.
Of course, on the opening lap up at Poggio Secco, or second lap of the race anyway. Now, there's... And it was because he was riding in behind Zarco. Zarco there. They'll review it after the race.
It's definitely not Zarco's fault.
What can they say?
Because you are approaching the lines and also lowering their front start devices.
Yeah.
I think we could see a ban in the start devices. I know
Jack Miller hasn't quite had it this weekend, but as we come down the straight, Jack will be passed before the line, gets across the line, when Danilo Petrucci won. The battle between the two Ducatis and the Honda, they had almost different schedules, but it changed.
Just want to get past Miller as soon as they can, so they can at least have a go at stretching that gap out by the time they get to the last corner. He's trying to brake a little bit later, but like I say, he's missing apexes, so then you end up going slower. Quite frustrating, not making any mistakes. It's these sorts of rides where you take a 5th place or a 7th place, but you get
Very attack Rins previously.
He went to go for the move again, but I tell you what, there was no room at all. I'm glad he backed out of that.
There'll be good drive though, won't there, for Alex Rins now? I know he ran a little bit deep, but be good drive through the Biondetti, and we've seen him already pass Miller or Schutz on Rins, but Rins will have a tighter inside line. It won't matter by the time we get to turn 1, especially the waves.
So Rins has not finished the last 3 races. 3 crashes out of 5 races. I mean, it's really be firm, be aggressive, but it's important you finish this race. That's going to get tight.
And it's going to be Rins going through.
Mir's getting frustrated now because he already can see his teammate is pulling a gap along. He's going for it.
And he had to, didn't he?
Yeah, he's going to go.
And we haven't seen them at any point this year, and definitely that new frame on that bike, on the Austrian machine, has changed the Carrick scheme for.
That's right. They've got a slightly harder the harder compound front tyre. The symmetric rubber and the harder rubber meat never seem to work for the KTMs.
At the front, Fabio Quartararo's just set up. Binder's there in 6th with Jack Miller in 7th place. But Quartararo's extending his lead. He's out to 1.6 seconds. You looked at the pace, you analysed where people were in practice, and actually he was one of the few riders to consistently put in. What about Maverick Vinales? Penny for his thoughts, with Fabio Quartararo pulling out a lead up front. Maverick said yesterday he didn't even want to get into the...
It's a silly move really there. I mean, it was never on, was it? Poor Frankie. Oh, I tell you, he was lucky actually, as it turned out. Well, we get that front tyre to work. These two are having a good race, aren't they?
Rins on the 42 bike. The bright yellow of Joan Mir goes back in front.
And teammates, where they are the ultimate frenemies, they actually do get on well. But it's a good, solid race. Both want to be the number 1
in a row. Last year, you actually felt that the title could well have been Alex's if he'd have been more consistent. The amount of races he could have won. Right, we ride on board with Fabio Quartararo, not even at halfway in this race, but he has a 2.7 the bike. It's slightly different, isn't it? He is smooth, he's clearly fast. But whereas Lorenzo looks slow, Fabio looks fast.
Riding style, literally hanging off that bike as much as he possibly could. Don't get me wrong, Lorenzo had that style where he hung off a lot, but...
On occasion, 10 miles an hour more than the Yamaha. But Fabio Quartararo is showing that it's not all being Quartararo as honest as possible, but he's more concerned, I think, at the moment, about Oliveira behind him. I'm not saying it's a surprise. He said, we are nowhere.
Yeah, could not get that bike to turn. And you hear that a lot, obviously, from the Ducati riders, but really struggling to use that handbrake turn sort of slide motion to try and finish some of these longer corners.
His career, 7 in a row, you forget, between 2002 and in 2008, 7 times in a row he won. Once matched that at any other circuit anywhere in the world. But unfortunately, that's no medicine for the doctor at the moment. He shoots for him, but it hasn't produced itself at Mugello, which makes us really worry now. After Le Mans was wet.
It really is unfortunate for Valentino. I'll tell you what, Gav, both those Suzukis have got a better pace than actually the 3 riders
before, that almost you want them to work together a little bit, don't you? They've actually been taking time out of each other for the last couple of months, hasn't he? Over his teammate Alex Rins in terms of advantage now, and I do feel like he will be able to get in front of Zarco 4 lap times. Even though Suzuki's 47.1s, I feel like Quartararo's probably keeping something in hand.
7-0s throughout FP4, which was this time of day, similar track temperatures, so yeah, there's a lot could happen here.
The big race this for Miguel Oliveira in 3rd place. As I said before, when one of them goes through, they may well open, like a can opener, open the door for the other one.
It's funny you should say that, because you watch Oliveira, definitely not attempting to make a pass, but yeah, he'll see on his pitboard that the Suzukis are closing down fast over the pin with 8 laps to go.
In terms of tyres at this place, and I know we don't like to go on too much about them, have issues later on in a race, and actually with the harder option tyre on that KTM, I know they like that stability, but that may pay dividends later on.
Yeah, like you say, it suits their braking stability. Look at the lap time difference there, perfect example, 0.4 of a second there on the last.
Expected actually him more than Oliveira, didn't we? I know Oliveira does get things working, but Binder's pace has been better than Oliveira.
For Brad.
Well, yeah, exactly. When he sees it, he'll start singing, here comes Miguel Oliveira now, he is going to make the move.
And especially now, if there's a little bit of
18 with Jorge Lorenzo, before that with Andrea Dovizioso, it's not going to be a Ducati victory today by the looks of things. Pressure from Mir and Rins. The KTM should match the Ducati down the straight. Let's not forget, earlier this weekend, Brad Vacation to stay ahead of Zarco.
Yep, just the 225.5 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's all.
Always.
On the left-hand side as you go over that little kink and jump down towards San Donato corner.
So
yeah,
actually, he gained 3/10 on Mir.
Yeah, that's it. His pace, and on Zarco,
yeah,
it was half a second.
Mir, he's going to do it here. Watch this, he's going to go. on the flip-flop.
Little squirt in the middle of the right-left combinations, and he's in third spot ahead of Johan Zarco, third in the championship. Will move ahead of Pecco Bagnaia. The more Quartararo will take out of the pair of them. How far up the road skis man with Joan Mir on number 36, the Suzuki in third place. There's Johan Zarco and
all the change of direction, downhill, lots of trail braking, it's physical.
Oh, Casanova Savelli for Alex Rins, always better. So maybe there is a chance here for Suzuki to get both bikes on the podium, because Oliveira there, I could just see his bikes decided there, but fair play to Zarco. Hasn't affected him too much. There will be a certain amount of effect that's having. GG calls the salad box.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in that salad box.
I mean, we did see Davey out on the track. Maybe it was a bit of lettuce and tomato from his sandwich.
I crashed on a bit of cucumber. I mean, I've used most excuses in my career, but
I'm surprised
that's a new one.
You haven't dragged that one out too tight into the corner to hold off Rins, and finally Zarco has to give up, and behind Binder and Miller are
trying to stop riders passing him. His brake late, but now he's got no side grip at all. So as you saw, he went into turn one there, tried to get it started.
Isn't done. The race for victory may already have been decided. It's up to Fabio Quartararo and his Yamaha now to bring this, I think, special to riders to stand on the podium here at Mugello, because it is seen as, I know Formula 1
more so when we've got fans in, because there's the big track invasion, and we've stood there, haven't we, presenting.
So Miguel Oliveira hanging on.
Oh, that's Rins again!
Fourth race in a row for Alex Rins.
It's easy to third biking shot, trail braking in at the critical point. There's some bumps there as well, but I tell you what, Alex Rowe in the races, you paid a lot of money to bring that motorcycle home.
So 2.5 seconds, he is managing the end to this race. Behind, we know their front tyres are complaining, they're straining. His chance or his hope of the podium, if people crash out in front of him, you've got to be in it to not win it.
Well, what you have to do, Gav, your motorcycle, if you don't listen to your front tyre especially, yes, you can get away with the rear spinning and sliding, but once that front starts talking to you...
13th place. 13th behind Valentino Rossi, who actually has some late pace here. There's someone sat up at the side, it's Michele Pirro.
Attrition here, Gav. We've only got 17 riders circulating.
Yeah, Ike Lecuona now ahead of Rossi, and you feel like Ross in this race, after a terrible start to the year for Tech 3, it'll be some comfort, won't it, from Petrucci and Lecuona, 9th and 10th there.
So had to let the brake off and sort of did the right thing running through the gravel, but that's his race done. I wonder what, I'm just thinking then, just looking down with Paul Espargaro in 13th place, I wonder what's going through his head at the moment. Lots of podiums near the end of the season, look great. Obviously, he jumped ship to Honda, the dream run.
Well, when you look at this, he probably at the start of the year was thinking, yeah, well, KTM was struggling, if I'd have stayed there, I'd have been doing something pretty similar. And are you thinking, better the devil you know?
Yeah.
So
you need to up the game.
There's some serious work needs doing, and not having had the focus of Marc Marquez at the front of different riders testing different parts of the bike at different occasions.
On different tracks, and shock, horror, they've got lost. Unlucky last time out, had that mechanical the failure, and if that hadn't have happened, he'd have had that would. I think it's a solid sixth place, good points.
Yeah, just doing what he was able to here, has produced the goods on race day. Today, all weekend we felt he hasn't had the goods. You don't know what you're going to get, but actually, you've gone down to 0.4 of a second between Mir and Zarco, so it's not all done yet. Last lap of the Italian Grand Prix.
Oliveira wide in there, and it was a big mistake that, because then Mir's right on the back of him. Don't go on the green at the end of that curve.
I'm really devastated for the rider it happened for. We're not going to give anything away. Through into a Rabbiata corner here. This is where you think close enough into Scarperia Palagio. This is where he's been making.
Yes, he is going to be close enough, and he's going to give it a go. No, it just runs a little bit wide. It's for the Suzuki rider. He's not going to be able to pass him over the line. So unless Oliveira now makes a mistake.
Mugello, okay, for the front, it might not have delivered an absolute classic of a race, but behind there's been speed stop. Fabio has found an answer where he wasn't able to in Jerez or Le Mans, and he wins the season in second place with Miguel Oliveira and Joan Mir, second podium of his year on the Aprilia. Good ride again from him. Maverick Vinales in 8th, and Danilo Petrucci 9th. Rossi further back, rounding out the points. Lecuona, Espargaro, Pirro, Marquez and Lorenzo Savadori. Morbidelli out after he could understand after the sad loss, the sad passing of Jason de Pasquier this morning after the qualifying crash in Moto. Been demoted from second place to third. So that will be Oliveira.
We saw him
one way. They're saying at least he's still on the podium. But yeah, just for Quartararo, the emotions there
between them. So yeah, very, very sad. And yeah, no words.
Disappointment there for Oliveira. Here we go, let's have a look.
Yeah, so exactly as we saw it. He goes wide here, but that's okay. But
his tyre was always touching the white line at the same time. That's what he'll say. But
yeah, here we go.
You touch the green with any part of your tyre.
Like, that's cost you second place in a MotoGP race. Like you said, yeah, you're still on the podium.
Silva and Susie, I have to echo them 100%. I thought all three of the riders down there in Parc Fermé were the race of the year, saying it almost didn't feel like a win. But he dedicates, there won't be any champagne on the podium, and even Fabio Quartararo takes the Swiss flag up onto the podium. With the family having lost one of its own, you can sense that the trophy's second place. Joan Mir's already taken his third place trophy and on the top of the podium. No big celebrations. This one's for Jason.